Happy Muk-jji-bba Day!
Happy Muk-jji-bba Day.
Happy Muk-jji-bba Day! Welcome back to another episode of Muk-jji-bba. My name is Aji.
I'm Brittany.
I'm Judy.
For those of you watching, you guys may see some very special guests here with us today. Yay! Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, dude, this is so funny. Bobby, you look so unnatural.
Pretty uncomfortable right now.
You're so stiff. I'm Hiseo.
I'm Bobby.
Welcome back, Hiseo.
Oh, guys, I've been waiting. I begged Brittany.
Would you guys like to give a little short intro of yourselves?
Yes. I'm Hiseo. I am. Do I say reveal age?
Whatever you
Yeah.
Whatever I want. I work in tech. I work for this company called Passes. It's a creative platform that allows you to put up a paywall in front of your content. So one day, when you guys pop off, you guys could come be on Passes, and everyone has to pay for Muk-jji-bba.
Wow.
Yeah. So I work on our product team.
I'm Bobby. I am a therapist at the moment. I'm also a Lakers fan, so I'm just thinking about the Luka trade. It happened yesterday, so that's all I'm listening to right now.
Wow, big day for you then.
It was crazy last night. Yeah, I was shook.
How do we feel about him like moving his body like this? Like, do you think we should just keep it?
Sorry, I'm nervous. That's why.
You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure, you know.
Yeah.
I'll be still. I'll be still.
All right. All right. Well, we enlisted our special guest here today because he wanted to do a special Valentine's Day episode. Yay!
Valentine's Day. Love.
Love. So, Hiseo, you love love, right?
Oh my gosh. You guys need to go back to my previous episode. I think this was back in October. No. Yeah, right?
October 2023.
4. You're right. It was
Yeah.
2023. So this. Oh yeah. You're right. So the funny thing is, our anniversary date is October 5th. So that means that it was pretty freaking early on. And I think I shared like, yeah, I'm seeing this like really nice friend of mine, but I can't tell if I like him yet. And this was after I said yes. So if you guys look back, there's proof like with time, love grows, guys.
Really?
Yeah. How'd you feel about October 5th?
October 5th of 2024?
2023.
Oh, 2023?
Yeah.
It was good.
Short and sweet.
Probably repressed it, so.
Just forgetting the bad memories, you know?
Sometimes you gotta forget.
Yeah, you're right.
Let go.
Yes.
Wait, so could you guys talk about how your relationship began? And like, I know you guys were friends before. Could you kind of dive into that?
Yes. So for context, we actually all went to the same school. So Bobby and I are 1 year apart, and he's 1 year older than me. But this means that we've known each other for technically almost 10 years.
Wow.
Yes. And we could insert a little photo later of like what we look like in college, because some people ask, oh, like you guys have known each other for so long. Why did it take you so long to date, you know? But if you see the picture, it'll make sense. We were both.
That's the dining halls, you know?
Yeah, the dining hall.
It's tough.
I get it.
It wasn't freshman 15. It was a bit more than that. But there's that too. But also, I think in college, I perceived Bobby as someone super different from who he actually was and is today. And so I was like, I don't think we've ever thought like, oh yeah, like Bobby, you know? He's probably like, he's just like that loud, like 1 year younger. Because I was really close to his roommates. So I was over all the time. But we never really like hung out like that.
Yeah, I thought she was 1 year older than me, actually. Because I didn't go to KCM at first. I was in a different ministry. And so, you know, when you switch over, like, you don't know who anybody is. But usually the people that, like, greet you are, like, older, right? So then she, like, greeted me. So I was like, oh, she must be a transfer student. Or, like, she must be, like, in Reach Core or whatever. But she was a freshman. And so I was like, what the heck? So that was like my first impression and the first time I met Hiseo.
Yes. And if I look back, we've had multiple moments where I had actually met his dad like randomly my freshman year, the summer of. I was at the apartments with all the upperclassmen. I subletted one of their rooms, and we went to Leo's Tacos, which I live right next to now, which is so crazy. And you were there with your dad and this other guy that I thought was super cute. He's almost married now. He's engaged, so there's that. But so the lore is in college there was no chemistry whatsoever. But then after we graduated, I think it was post-COVID, when things were starting to open up, I had this like realization where I was like, I'm gonna live 8 days a week because I got like diagnosed with this like brain thing, and I thought I was unwell, and so once I found out I was okay, I went through this like life spiral, and I was like, oh, I have to live my life to the fullest, and so literally 8 days a week means Monday through Sunday, I was just like, I was working hard, but also like at night I was meeting my friends every single night. And during that time, we started hanging out, right?
Yeah, so I also had that motto probably like 6 months to a year before she did. So when she shared that exact phrase, I was like, oh, interesting. Like,
He was
that's
like,
crazy. Like, what are the coincidences? You know, what are the chances, right?
He was like, oh, love.
Right away.
But then I was like, at that point, I was like, dude, 6 months, one year of living 8 days a week. That's like living 2 years, right? So I was tired. I was like, I heard that. I was like, oh, I don't know if you want to live 8 days a week. Like, I've done it. Like, but yeah, I think like we would spend a lot of time with like mutual friends, and I think that's a really good way to just get to know people without, I guess, making it awkward sometimes if you're in a group setting. So I think that's where we started to just talk a little bit more.
Yeah, and even then, I don't think any of us were really interested in that way. But then we have a friend named Julia. Shout out Julia. She actually listens to Muk-jji-bba every week.
Yes.
She's probably dying to be on here, so invite her next time. That girl can yap, so you guys will have a lot of content. But Julia, one time we were out, like all of us together. It was like a Thursday night. We were in Silver Lake, and that particular night, we decided to like go to the beach at like 2 a.m. too. It was like a crazy like sequence of events.
Yeah, so basically I was like, I haven't really explored Echo Park yet. Why don't I hit up this group of people that's always down?
Oh yeah.
Let's go like bar hopping at Echo Park on like a Wednesday.
Oh yeah, it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
And
And it was really fun. But we ended up like going to a lot of different places, and then I think I was dropping you off or Julia off, and then one of you guys was like, oh, let's go to the beach right now. And then we all went to the beach.
Oh yeah. I think we were in the car together actually.
Yeah, something like
it,
that.
It might have been us, but Julia came up to me that night and was like, "Hiseo," right? I'm like, "What's up?" She's like, "Like Bobby's a really good man." And I'm like, "Yes, like for sure." And he's like, "Would you ever be interested?" And usually, like girls I feel like don't really ask that unless there's some kind of signal from the guy that's like, oh, he's kind of interested. So I asked her, like, oh, why? Like, is he interested? She's like, like, he thinks you're interesting. I think she said something like that, like, where she didn't give me a clear answer of, like, yeah, he's down. But I can tell from just, like, our interaction that, like, there was something there, you know? Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you what exactly it was, but I was like, I feel something. And I told her, no. Like, oh, like, he's just a friend. Like, yeah, he's a great guy, but, like, I don't think I'm attracted to him, like, all of this. And she's like, oh, okay. 2 minutes later, she goes up to Bobby in the venue that we were. It's, like, a small, like, bar. She's like, oh, Bobby, like, she's not interested. And, you know, like, he's so cool about it. He's like, oh, okay, like, that's chill. Like, he's not, because I don't think he liked me at that point, right?
Julia just wanted to set us up really bad. And so
her mission was to set him up.
that's also true.
She went through like literally her entire friend list and was like, Bobby, what about this girl? And she eventually landed on me, you know? And then this is me saying like, no, it's okay. But we ended up going to that beach that day. And I don't really remember what happened, but
Something happened apparently. But
It did? I don't remember.
But to go back to their question was,
I mean, this is
how did
part
this
of-
happen?
This is part of the
Yeah,
question.
this is
Basically, fast forward sometime later, and then Julie's getting married to Andrew, and I'm like best friends with both of them. And so one of the events or the ideas that Andrew had was like, hey, let's DJ for my after party. So at the time, none of us knew how to DJ. So it's like he has a lot of like these ideas. So I was like, oh, that sounds really fun. So the lineup was like me, Andrew, Hiseo and Tanner, and then that was kind of where like there was some tension and like it was like in a small crowded room and super hot and like you know.
Okay,
and so
he like literally missed every single detail leading up to that. Like Brittany, no.
Yeah, I feel like you jumped like 5 stories ahead.
oh, it's because I want to answer the question.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like we're
in
details
between.
are
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're
No,
so
this
important.
man.
I feel
every
pressure
time-
to answer the question.
Okay, this isn't the first time this happened. If someone asks us like, "How'd you guys meet?" Right? I'm like, it's a long story, and they're like, "Oh, we have time." He's like coupe because he's like thinking of that other person. Like, oh, I feel like he's like you're dragging the story along.
not
It's like
at
too many
all.
details.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I know. I could tell you're like, okay, so fast forwarding. But anyway, before Ailey's wedding, if you recall back to 2023, I was seeing this other guy. He was older than me, very settled, and I had a fat crush on him. We got set up. I thought he was great, and during this like whole wedding season, we were learning how to DJ, and this is the first time where I consider like, oh, like Bobby's kind of like really great. But right before Julia's wedding, he had asked me on an official like date. And the way that this happened too, low-key 내가 먼저, I was like, we should go grab a drink, go to a wine bar. And I shared this in the other episode so you guys could catch up there. But what ended up happening was we went to go drink a bottle of wine, and he asked me like, hey, like, so do you want to try dating? He's like, let me just take you out. It's super casual for him. And I was like, yeah, this sounds great. Like, yeah, for sure, right? The next day I flew to New York. And I remember walking down the streets of Midtown in New York. I was like, dude, I need to be single because there are so many hot men in New York that I haven't met yet. And at this point in my life, I was thinking about moving. So I was like, if you guys watch Sex and the City, this is my favorite reference. Like, Carrie moves to New York to find love. And that I felt like that was my calling. I was like, dude, I need to go to New York. And so I came back, and I remember it wasn't just me wanting to date other men. It was the fact that I was like, I just cannot imagine like making out with Bobby. Like, he's a great guy, but I just literally like if I like close my eyes.
I have a beard back then.
He didn't have a beard back then. But when I close my eyes to think like, oh, like, can I really see myself with him? I was like, not really. So all of my girlfriends are like, maybe this is a sign that you just don't like him. And I was like, okay. So I come back and I text him. And we were supposed to watch Oppenheimer.
Oh, that's a long movie.
Yeah. And I was like, no, we got to talk before that. And he's like, are you having second thoughts? I was like, yes. So we meet up. We go to the Thunderbolt. Great bar, by the way, if you guys haven't been. We go to Thunderbolt and we walk in. And he's like, what do you want to drink? I was like, I'll just have whatever you're having. So he buys a drink. We sit. And already the 분위기 is like bad, you know? Because I'm ready to like end this without even starting almost. So I sit him down. I'm like, hey, like, I feel like I'm risking too much with this relationship because we have the same group of friends. Like, Julia and Ailey are getting married. Also, I don't know if I move to New York, like, it's going to be long distance. Like, I was like getting ahead of myself. And this man was so confused. How'd you feel when I said that?
How did I feel when you said that? Well, I think from the text messages, you can already tell what's coming. So by the time I already walked in, I was like, okay, I think this is going to happen. I'm just paying this girl to tell me what I know. I know what I think she's going to say.
It's expensive.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think at that point, I was kind of like, is there a chance to persuade? Right? Is she like decisive, or is she like on the fence? Because if she's on the fence, then maybe there's a conversation.
Love that.
Right. So then I think I was really clear about that. Like, hey, this is what you're thinking right now, but is that like for certain? I forgot what I said, but something like, is there anything I could say
You
to like?
gave this analogy of like we could be so good together. You were like, oh, like I feel like our interests are like very similar. Like how
Also,
we
I'm
wanna
like an
live
N, so
life.
I'm very big picture.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of like this, you're kind of like this. So like, I think this could happen. So I think I was kind of like trying to pitch a little like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what I think we could be like if we work together.
And I was like, yeah, but I can't make out with you. So like, I don't know. Like that's literally what I was thinking. But how am I supposed to tell him? Like, I'm just
did not tell
not
me.
physically, like, you know, I'm just not physically attracted to you. So I was like, we ended things. And I remember him, like, are you sure? I was like, yes. We walk out of the bar, and it's one of those movie scenes where I'm like walking this way and he's walking this way.
Wow, that's so dramatic.
We parked like on the
K-drama.
opposite sides. And he said he looked back when I was walking. I know. He looked back and I was skipping. I was like, no.
She's like, oh, I did such a good job.
Yeah. I was like,
telling him so clearly. I'm so good at communication or whatever. That's probably what she's thinking.
I remember I called my friend Michelle on the way back. I was like, Michelle, I did it. Like, I was so clear with him. Like, I feel so good. Like, we're going to be friends. It's going to be fine. And then we, like, split ways. And the next time I saw him was actually for Ailey's and Julie's wedding. Because we had to DJ and rehearse, people came over to our place. And
Well, before that, I went to Nashville the next day
Oh,
for
yeah,
like
yeah.
a boys' trip. And so I visited like my friend there. And then, you know, at the time I was just like processing. There's a lot of raw emotions, confusion. Like, what? This girl's weird. Like, she said this and then she said this.
I
like,
remember
what?
he hella posted on Instagram, like story after story, and you know, me being like, oh, like
I'm
we
having a
can still
great
be
life.
friends.
You know? I'm having the time of my life out here.
And me
Eating
thinking like
Waffle House.
we could still be friends. I hearted like 3 of them. Yeah, I remember
I
being
don't
like,
remember that, but
I did though.
anyways, my guys were like, don't text her. Like, you have to make her come back to you. Like that type of stuff. Kind of like toxic masculinity energy, but you know, at the time that's what I needed, right? Like, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't need women. Like, you know, so I came back like super like healed. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm at peace with this. Like, I'm chill. Like, I've processed through it all. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm actually chill.
So
So that was like my attitude going into this.
he was actually chill, which really bothered me because so he came, he came over and
I work for her.
yeah, I like prepared myself. I was like, oh, I have to look really good because like this is the first time he's gonna see me after I said no. Like he's gonna want me back. Like so I was so extra. I went to this bar that I knew and they sell a bunch of like wholesale tequila. Like they have like little mixers. I think we went together once. So I bought a spicy marg mix with tequila, like great tequila. I literally ran home from church to make nachos that day. Did like a whole spread, and Ailey's like munching on it. He's like, this is so good. And I was like ready. I was like nervous for him to like walk up the stairs. He walks up, and I'm in the kitchen like sweating. You know, I'm like, yeah, I gotta look pretty too. He literally comes up to me. He's like, oh hey, gives me like a side hug, and then directly goes to the couch to just like do his thing. And I was like, why is this guy so chill? Like, what the heck? Like, maybe I just didn't mean that much to him, you know? And you feel a little silly. So I was like, and that's when the curiosity kind of sparked. And this is when, you know, you're freaking avoidant attachment, low key, right?
Who's you?
Me.
Oh, you? Yeah. Oh, you're anxious.
I'm anxious though. So anyway, that day happens, and then I'm like, I keep thinking about Bobby. And the next day, I went to, we ended up going to Julia and Ailey's wedding, and like we had to coordinate stuff too, because I was like emceeing, he was playing the music, he was a groomsman. Their parents, by the way, love us like individually as people, and so I think they really wanted us together too. But they heard the whole lore of like me saying no to him and stuff, so they were just being nice. But the day after Ailey and Julia's wedding, oh no, I forgot to tell them about what happened when we were DJing. Cut this part out.
Cut.
When we were DJing, at the reception. You were there, right? At the reception. He took his shirt off because he was sweating so much.
Okay, time out. Time out. I wore a like flannel type thing with a wife pleaser. So when she says I took my shirt off, it's not like I had a t-shirt that I just, you know, like I could tell by the reaction, it could have been misleading.
Sorry.
Also,
Yes.
there was no AC in this place.
It was very hot.
And it's like 40 people in like this tight space. There's like one door that doesn't like it just opens, so it's like hella stuffy. So it's really hot in there.
So point being,
Also,
though,
Sue, Tisa's friend, told me to take my. She kept insisting like. Also, she's like, now she's married. So I was like, dude, what? Why is this woman so insistently like? I was like, why are you like what? So I was like really resistant at first. Like, no, this is weird. Like, I'll just sweat,
no.
you know? Like,
shout out Jacob.
Yeah.
Shout out Jacob.
so I was really confused. Like, what the heck? Like, why are these people like? Anyways,
So he takes his shirt off, and I'm next to him. Our arms are touching. Like we were like, and I am initiating all of this. I'm like kind of like, you know, like, oh, like that's cool, you know, like, oh yeah, DJ, you know. This man is like a freaking brick wall. Like
I was locked in.
he was,
He had one purpose and
I
one
have a
purpose
set to
only.
play.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
to hype up the crowd, you know.
and like I was trying to be like, you know, friendly, but he was setting such clear boundaries, and I was like, what the heck? And then he left pretty much after his set. He was like, okay, I'm gonna clean up, I'm gonna go. I was like, what? Like, don't go. He's like, no, I'm tired, I'm gonna go. So I was like, okay. And I remember I was standing outside his car, and you were like packing up, and then you like roll down the window, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go. And I was like, okay. And that made me spiral of like, oh, did I do something, or like, why is he acting like that? The next day, I went to another wedding. I went to Heidi's wedding. Yeah, Heidi and Matt. And the whole time there, I was down bad. I was like, like, do I call him? Like, what do I do? Do I text him? All my friends are like, you can't say anything to him unless you know for sure this time that you want to try. Because you've already hurt him once. Like, you can't, you know, do that again. And the reason why I was so conflicted was because that man, remember the man from before Bobby, he had texted me that week and was like, hey, we should grab a meal. And I was like, what if he wants me back? So I was so conflicted. But then the following Tuesday, this man texts me first. And he's like, he sends me this random link to a song. But we both don't remember what song it was. That's the thing. I just remember it was like a song. He's like, have you listened to this? And I was like, no. I'm like, not yet. Why? I think you had said something. You didn't say like, oh, it made me think of you or anything. But he's like, I think you said like, I think you would like this or something. Like that.
Very safe.
Yeah, very safe answer. But you know me, I'm like thinking like a gazillion miles per hour. Like, why is this man sending me a song? So I was like, oh, like I've been actually meaning to text you. And he's like, oh, I know. And I was like, oh, how did you know? He's like, I think you asked me like, are you having second thoughts about your second thoughts or something like that? I can't remember.
Something like that. I think I basically said, oh, I have some thoughts I would like to share with you.
Oh yeah.
But it sounds like you also have thoughts.
Oh yeah, that's what you said. Yeah, because the first time I told him I had some thoughts. So he was like, okay, then let's meet up. So we went to a wine bar in Echo Park. Oh, we
Yeah.
went? I forget where
It's
we
like
went.
Silver Lake, Echo Park
Yeah.
or whatever. And then I basically said, if you're not down, don't do this. Because I was like, I don't like to play games, you know? So I was just like, I don't like, like if you're uncertain, then maybe we can like resolve it. But if you're like, yeah, I'm actually not down, then I was like, oh, I don't like this. And I don't think people after me or whatever would like it either. So it's like, I was trying to like clarify,
Oh, okay.
like, all right, we're gonna choose one direction or the other.
And I think you
then-
made it clear, like, oh, I don't think I could be friends with you like that if we don't try, like, or if this is not what you want, like, I'm gonna be setting some pretty clear boundaries.
I don't know if I said I can't be friends with you.
You said that. Let's recall. Maybe
Perhaps.
not. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think you did. You said it would be really hard to be friends or something like that.
I think listening to that right now, I probably thought it would be really hard if yours like boundary crossing.
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't want to be your friend if you did that.
And you're really right. And I it made me think like, dang, what am I doing, you know? And so I came clean to Bobby and I was like, no, I do want to try again. Like I want to get to know you in this light. However, I have this dinner. What should I do? And you said,
Just go.
Oh.
yeah. This man is so secure, guys. Like
Wow.
I was so shook. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I don't care. Like,
Also, she went on like 2 dates during this 2-week period. Yeah, I was like, what's the difference? Like, and then one of the dates was someone I knew apparently. Like someone he went to my high school, but I didn't really
yeah,
like.
small world.
So I met him
small world.
later, but I was just like, oh hey, like he was like on the tennis team or something. I don't know, but like
Yes.
small world.
Yeah. So I said, okay then, bet. Like I'm gonna go on that dinner. So I end up going to that dinner, and turns out this man really just wanted to be friends with me. And I told actually on that date, not even date, I guess hangout dinner. I told him about Bobby. I was like, hey, actually, I'm seeing someone, and he's really great. And he was like, oh, good. Like, go ahead. And I was like, okay. And that was that. Like, we really didn't see each other after that. I think he hit me up one time, and then we started dating. So Bobby was like, no, tell him you're not gonna go. I was like, okay.
That's not what happened. I said, oh, you can go if you want. And then our other friend was like, no, Bobby, that's weird. And I was like, yeah, that's really weird, right? Yeah, I don't want you to go to that. Like,
But I just wanted to hear that from him, you know? I was like, you want me to go? 가지 말라고 해, you know? So anyway, that's how we met. But, you know, that's like the long version. But the TLDR is after he asked me and we started dating, it took me about 3 months for me to be like, okay, I really want to do this. Because we started talking in like June. And then we made it official in October. So that was 4 months of Bobby really being patient with me, of me going back and forth of like, I'm not sure. How was that for you?
it's the worst.
Was there ever a time you wanted to give up?
Yeah. Well, in my head, I was like, this is worth it. I'd have to like, I would basically like gaslight myself into like, I think this is worth it. So I just have to stick this out, I think. Well, because I think for me, it was like, oh, we haven't really started because she's in this uncertain mindset. So I don't think I want to give up now because, like, what if after we get through this, it's a lot better, you know? But I think in the moment, I was just like, all right, I just got to deal with this.
Do you think, I'm like asking him my own questions. Do you think it helped you because that you're a therapist? Since you're a couples therapist or you see individuals too, like, do you think that helped you to be more patient with me?
Maybe, but I don't think so. I think just because you know what's going on doesn't make the experience any easier.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Like if I know like, oh, this is what she's thinking, I'm not like, oh, therefore I'm immune to anything. You know, like that's not what's
Yeah.
going on. I'm still like having to manage whatever I'm feeling in that
Yeah.
time. So no, I don't think so. I don't think-
Yeah. I feel bad all the time. Or like not all the time, but we talked about this once. And if I were to go back to do it again, I would do it so differently because now I'm like, oh, I can't believe I like put Bobby through that much anxiety. Well, I was like, I love you, I like you, and then the next day I'm like, like I don't know, you know. So, but now we're like, you know, it's good now. Yeah.
Wow, what a beautiful story.
So beautiful.
It really is. It's a process. We had 2 questions from.
I was literally I was concerned. I was like, I don't think anyone would be curious about us, like at all.
But yeah, we had 2 questions.
The first one is, I'll keep it anonymous. But will I ever find love again? Was the question.
We're on like on a radio show right now. What? I don't know you. Depends.
Or like, I guess
Find love again?
I guess if someone were to come up to you, like one of your clients, and they're like they've gone through like so much heartbreak, and they're like they genuinely feel like they won't find love again, how would you respond to that?
Is this to me or to us?
Both.
It could be different.
Yeah.
Should we answer on 3?
No, you can go.
He always declines my like requests like this. What is up with that?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
Wait, maybe I could give some context because
Oh, yes.
I know it's like anonymous, but I know the person who submitted that
I
question.
see.
Oh, okay.
But let's say you came out of like a 4-year relationship. It kind of ended on like a not bad note. It was very mutual, but it's just like
It's a long time.
yeah, it's a long time, and you kind of get like fleeting thoughts, like, oh, like I don't know if I'm gonna ever.
Should we phone a friend? Should we phone a friend? We have a friend out there who went through this exact situation. Maybe we could phone a friend, like at the end of the week. Bonus clip, we'll bring him in, and then we could film his answer and her
Yes,
answer because both
so
of them
fun.
went through a longer period of relationship. But my answer is like yes. I think someone asked me this yesterday. We're talking about like, do you feel like Bobby is like the one, like, and like I spoke for you on behalf as well, but maybe I'm wrong because I don't think we ever discussed this. But I said, although like we love each other and like we do see a future together, and we could think about our future kids or how we want to live our lives. If something were to have happened where that wasn't allowed, or like we like broke up or something, I think I'd be still hopeful that there is someone out there that would be able to meet my needs the same way like Bobby does. It won't be exactly the same, the relationship, but I think it's very possible. There's so many people out there in the world. What do you think?
Yeah, answer is yes. I think when you've been in a relationship for that number of years, you're gonna learn a lot about who you are and what you want in a relationship, and I think that will play into your next relationship. And so I think if you think about it like the person is the end goal, then yeah, the answer is no. Then so I guess this was the one, and I'm done. I lost my chance, which is really sad, right? But some people do think like that, right? Of there's this one person out there, and I don't really believe in the one or a soulmate or anything like that. But I think I would rather choose to live in like a mindset of I just need certain skill sets to make almost any relationship work, right? Because there's like fundamentals that every relationship is different, but there's like certain skill sets that you need to learn. And so I think if you're like growing that, whether it's in like your friendships or even like a personal relationship, then I think that will lead to like your significant relationship, right? So
If you think about it, I went from like not being attracted to this man to now being like, wow, like, dude, so handsome, like I think a lot of it actually came from I got to learn about his character, like I got to observe him like in various amount of situations that I never have seen him in before, and I think that is pure proof that love is something that grows over time. That maybe some people get lucky and it's like love at first sight, but I think it's over time you either find this person to be more attractive, or you can meet really good looking people and over time you're not attracted to them because their insides are not what you're looking for. I hope this person is okay, but I really want to bring in my friends out there. They have some wisdom.
We have one more question.
do you guys want to answer?
Okay.
I have nothing to contribute to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll chime in when we feel it.
Okay. It just feels like a panel, I thought it was collaborative.
We want to hear your wisdom. Our next question here is, what's one relationship advice you would give to a couple in their 20s versus 30s? Unique answers only, please.
We're the funny thing is we're not 30. We're in our late 20s. Is this from Catco?
No. It's from a younger friend.
Oh,
as
really?
well. Yeah.
Why did they say 30s? Did they
I don't
think
know.
we're 35?
No, I think maybe
Is it like-
she's just looking like ahead, and since you guys have a couple years, you guys have a couple years
Is it
of
like
life
starting
in.
a relationship in your 20s and 30s, or like
I don't know. That's what the question said. We just gotta answer.
interpret it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see a lot of couples though, so he could probably give actual advice. I don't have advice. If it's not fun, like what are you doing it for? That's my advice.
I feel like in your 20s, you're still trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
And so I think, at least in college, for example, I think I approached it like I just want to meet as many people as possible, just to like expose myself to like different types of people and like just to see who's out there. And then I think being a therapist, I'm also confronted with all these different situations that I would have never thought about until like this person is going through it right now, right? And so I guess tips for someone in their 20s would be like when I think a lot of people think, oh, if I'm fighting in a relationship, that's a bad sign, right? Or like, oh, there's conflict, or there's too much conflict. Like, we're only like 1 month in. Like, does this mean we're not the one? Or, you know, but I think when there's like some sort of conflict or resistance in your 20s, I would treat it like, oh, what am I learning about myself right now, right? What don't I like? Is it because I need more time, or like I want things to be done like this? And so I think in your 20s, you're still like developing like your sense of self. So I think it's actually more important that you find more like tension with people. You know what I mean? Because even like with your friendships, like especially after college, like your friendships will change and stuff. And then you have to kind of choose. So like, am I gonna like drive 30 minutes to go see this person, or is he not worth it? And I'm like, it's kind of a dick move, but I guess he's not worth it right now. And like, I think you just gotta like live with it, right? And then, so I think like in your 20s, that's what I would say. Like, just try to learn as much about yourself. But then your 30s, I think it shifts, because I feel like you should know a little bit more about yourself in your 30s, and you're probably trying to either start a family or like get into something more serious. So I think that's when maybe it's better to learn how to resolve conflict better. But then in your 20s, maybe it's more like, oh, like this is happening and that's not a bad thing in itself. And what can I take away from this? Because if you just take away like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like you, then like you move on. Then it's like, you haven't really learned anything. You're just like, all right, you're going to carry whatever you have to like the next person. And then you just keep, you know, like switching, and then you kind of are like, you wake up in your 30s and you're just like, oh, I don't know who I am and whatever and all that stuff. So
Do you feel like we have a lot of tension?
no,
Oh, yeah, me neither.
we're very different though.
Yeah, we're really different.
How so?
Why don't you go first? How are we different, Bobby?
Well, I'm an only child, and so I think family background is very different. She's the oldest daughter.
Yes.
And so I think like sibling order as a personality test is very true. And so I think I have to force myself to like have kwanshim sometimes. Like I have to like, all right, I have to be considerate here. Because naturally I think I just want to be selfish. Because I'm so used to doing that. Or like I'm not used to like constantly thinking about what other people are like needing. Especially in a group setting. But I think he's just really good at that. So like sometimes I'm like, I want to do this. She's like, oh, but we can't because these people are going to think this and they might feel like that. And two, I'm like, I don't care. Like they'll deal with that. Like why do I have to like pedojo for like all these people? But I think she's coming from a more like, I want to make sure everybody's having a good time. Not that I want like everyone to not have a good time, but I think her natural thoughts are not my natural thoughts. So I have to like pause a lot of the times, like I have to like pause and give like my third thought, not my first thought.
Or second.
Yeah, or second thought. My first thought's not the best.
Sometimes I ask him though. It's like, what was what'd you think of? And he's like, it's not good. I'm not gonna say it. I'm like, no, just tell me. I don't know why I do that because every time I hear it, I'm a little sad. But he tells me anyways. But I have a resident only child here as well, Brittany. Do you relate to what Bobby just shared?
I think so. I just can't think of a specific scenario, but I probably like my first thoughts are probably different from like those who are not only children. But I don't know. I feel like maybe it's like I'm always having this thought like, oh, like people have a negative like stigma for like only children. So I try to combat that and like do the opposite, like what people won't expect. But I think that in itself is very only child vibes. Yeah.
You guys
People are thinking about you all the time.
Exactly.
So self-centered, Brittany.
You guys
Thinks
should,
about you.
you guys should have an episode where you just bring only children, and you guys should have an episode
No, I'm
about
good.
only child.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
think it'd be very interesting.
It's a lot of yappers,
Yeah,
I think.
no, really, I could already think of like 5 who can be in this room. But I think we're really different in the way that we're naturally wired. So Koreans love MBTI. I don't know why it resurfaced recently, but they are really into it. But he's an ENFP and I'm an ESTP. And they usually say if your outside letters are opposite and your insides are the same, you guys are super compatible. So like I would probably be best with like an ISTJ or someone. But the 2 letters on the inside, us being different, we had to learn how to adjust to that and like reset our expectations. For example, when we first started dating, I felt really 부담스러워 by the way he texted me. And if you scroll back to like our initial text, dude, sometimes I'm like reading them like, oh, he used to like me so much. He doesn't text like that anymore. He was so curious about like my day to day, but he would ask me things like, oh, like, what was your favorite part about yesterday?
Oh. What a question.
Yeah. Like, what was your favorite part about yesterday? And I think he was just trying to like, spark conversation with someone that he liked. But I had to tell him at one point, like, I feel like I like you more when you don't give a F about me. So stop. And so he's so good at listening to
Conflicting messages here.
I know.
Confusing to be a guy, guys.
Yeah. No, but one example is after we have our work days, we usually call each other on like our way home if one of us are driving. So I'm always on the phone and our conversations look the same every single time we do this. I always ask, well, how was your day? And I'm expecting to hear like, I got up at 9 a.m., ate breakfast, and I had
Crazy.
3 clients, did my notes, and now I'm heading to dinner. Because when he asked me about my day, I'm like, oh, I had 5 meetings, and I ate this for lunch, and now I'm gonna go eat this for dinner, and it was a great day. Like that's me. But he wants to know like, oh, like, what did you feel in the day? Like, he doesn't really care about what I ate. It's more like, oh, was it good? Is it something that you would want to eat again? Like, it's very like not surface, and I love surface. And so I think that's one way we adjusted. Now he'll let me know like kind of like a rundown of his schedule. I love that. Like when he sends me like a screenshot of like his freaking work schedule, I'm like, oh, I just stare at it all day. I'm like, oh, he must be in a meeting right now. Like, yay. Literally, and I'm planning like.
I didn't know that was a love language.
It is. I'm like, you
screenshotting
relate,
my
right?
calendar.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm exactly like he's all
Yeah.
like even when I journal, I'll literally write woke
What
up,
you think?
like ate this for lunch.
Wow.
I even with my work friends too, when we're pinging each other, I'm like, oh, so what is your team getting for lunch? Like when are you eating? Like I'll ask them, yeah.
Dude.
It's because you want to know? Like you guys are nosy
like-
types?
I
Or
don't
like-
know. It just makes me feel calm. Like it
Calm.
makes me feel like I'm part of their days by knowing.
Like you're there with me.
Yeah, almost.
Oh.
And I just like imagining, like, oh, like he had a pretty packed day today. Like, maybe I could ask him about this, or like, you know, it's like that. But you know, she's also pretty more similar to Bobby from NF, right? And so, not that you're like him because I think you're a J, but he's very, very big pictured, like super loves conversations that make him think a lot. I'm like, let's just talk about what we ate, and that's good for me, you know.
Something that I had to like adjust was she would like FaceTime me, but she's like with other people.
Oh.
And then when I'm FaceTiming, it's like not like a meeting, but it's like, you know, I'm just locked in. Like, that's all I'm doing. I'm not like doing something while doing something else. Like I can't do that. I can't multitask. And so like sometimes she'll be calling me, but she's like cooking dinner, and she's like not talking to me. But I'm just like sitting there. So I'm just like,
Watching her.
can I just leave? Like, or is that rude? Like I didn't know what to do at first because I didn't know how to like.
I'll do one of these things where I'm like, oh, FaceTime, and then I'll set my phone down in front, like on the bed, so it's literally just this ceiling, and I'm
There's
like
no
folding
view,
laundry
like-
on over there. I'm like, oh yeah, like did you do blah blah blah? And he's like, huh? It's like he can't hear me.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah,
Like,
he hates that. It's
I'm
his
just
like
like-
biggest.
I want to talk, but I think I don't know. It's just like something I have to just, I guess, deal with. I guess or like fight through. Like,
But when he's brought it up, I'm like so conscious of that more now. So I try to like not do that. Can I roast you for a second?
sure.
Literally last week, we were talking about scheduling stuff because I like to be like, we're gonna eat with this person on Wednesday, we're seeing this person on Thursday, and we have a meeting on Friday, and then I'm seeing you on Sunday. Like, I like to tell them in advance, but I think sometimes that could be super overwhelming because my social battery is a lot bigger than Bobby's. So for me, I usually only say no to people hanging out with me if I'm like, if I have a conflict with another thing. That's like the only time. Even if I'm tired, if someone asks, I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah. But this man is like, if he knows that it's too much, he'll decline really easily, nicely. He's like, no, actually, I'm good. And so the reason why I bring this up is because I was trying to ask him. It was a Wednesday, and I was like, oh, like, can we do dinner on like Saturday or something? And he goes, sorry, I can only plan 2.5 days ahead of me. Because he's like, I don't like committing to things like 2 weeks from now because I don't really know like what my schedule is gonna look like. Like, yeah,
So it's the roast.
that's the roast.
That's the roast.
Did you not hear them laugh
Overcome
when
it?
I said he can only plan 2.5 days ahead? Isn't that crazy?
It's because when I used to live 8 days a week, I would go to like 4 things a night. And so I felt really bad because I was like always rushing, and it felt like it wasn't like respectful of people's time. Because I'd be like, I'll go to this and I'd be like, oh, sorry guys, like it's like 3 or 4, like, I gotta go somewhere else. Like, and it was fun to live that pace of life, but I think I was like, oh, I think it's more respectful for everybody if I just am present with whoever, right? And so
Lock in.
yeah, just
Motto,
lock in.
lock in.
And so I think that's part of where it's coming from for me of like, oh, I'm hesitant to just say yes, especially when to me, like outside a week, it like doesn't exist in my head. It's like anything could happen in a week, you know? We could have a fire, we could have like something could happen, like I don't know. And so I think I'm very, like if I say I'm gonna go. But I think it's hard on her end because her calendar looks very different from mine, so it's very like, you know, organized. I mean, my calendar's organized too, but I think like beyond like a week, it feels too overwhelming. And then I think I just know myself in that way, so I'm trying to like grow that.
I literally told them, I was like, we need to change that. Like, we need to at least 2 weeks for me, at least. Yeah. But anyway, love is
That's
about...
how we're different.
Yeah. But being different is great. who would want to just date the same person that you are, right?
Right. Do you have any questions, Brittany? I feel like you know us more.
I had like questions as you guys were talking, but I forgot.
Oh, you should have just interjected.
I know.
Maybe this may, I don't know if you were thinking this, but you know how you guys knew each other over time, like for a long period of time, but in our age, a lot of the time it's like you're set up, and so you meet someone for the first time, and technically they're vetted if they're through a mutual, but you don't really know the person. Like you guys, it was very natural, and you saw each other in group settings. But in that kind of setting where you're only meeting one-on-one, and you don't really have like close mutuals where you could hang out in a group setting, you don't really have the opportunity to see them in, you know, the various settings that you guys saw each other in. It's literally only in those dates, like every dinner, like some activity, but that's it. Is it possible to, how does one grow? Like, how does attraction grow in that kind of setting?
I think once you meet them a couple of times, I think it's not wrong to be like, hey, want to hang out with my friends? I think you can make those scenarios happen. But I think I think something that I didn't experience with everyone else, but what I did experience with Bobby was, it wasn't just like the people scenario that I realized like he's a good man, but it's in the way that we had conversation. So because I was so wishy-washy, he saw me in like my best and also like my worst in those 3 months when I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to see this man. And I think I saw so much consistency in just him being super patient and never like freaking out because I was freaking out. And I think when I mentioned the different scenarios, the scenarios that came into my mind actually wasn't like the people setting where like he's meeting my friends or whatever. It was more like on a one-to-one setting, like the way that he dealt with my issues was he made me feel really comfortable, and he reassured me that was okay. And I think I saw him I kept seeing him in a new light because of those moments. Yeah. But if you're talking about like you're meeting someone new and you don't really know what they're like next to their friends, one, like if they don't have friends, like maybe red flag, I don't know, but
Red flag.
Yeah. Second, like one thing that I would be super excited by would be like them being able to hang out with my friends and checking to see like if they're vibing.
Yeah, that's a good barometer.
Yeah. Should we tell them about our first kiss?
Sure.
Stacy.
Now I'm like thinking like what can I bring to the table? So our first kiss, do you remember when it was?
It's on your birthday.
Oh.
Yeah. 2 years ago.
Wow.
It's a long time ago. I was 27. My 27th birthday. Right?
Okay, yeah. We went to Santa Monica.
Yes. Bobby made a reservation at a wine bar. I was living at home during that time too, in OC. So this is like we just met after work, right? Something like that? Or was it a week? Was it a weekend?
I think it was a weekend.
Oh, I can't remember. But we had both parked like our cars kind of in different parts of the streets in Santa Monica. And so he was like, let me walk into your car. And I was like, okay. And by this point, because my birthday's on September 30th, so it was 5 days before we made things official. So at this point, we've been talking for like 3 months. And he has not made a physical move. Because I think he didn't want me to like flip out. Is that why?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I was like, oh, I wonder when this is coming. Because for me, I'm like, second day, I'm like, you know? So I was like, dude, this is taking so long, but whatever.
We're very different.
Yes. And so we're in front of my car, and I could sense, like, oh, he's going to try to, like. And at this point, I was still kind of, like, uncertain about him, like, which is crazy because it had been pretty good amount of time. And then I think he kissed me really like gently, like just like it was like a chok. It wasn't even like a kiss. It was just like a, you know,
PG, you know.
very PG. I just remember like blacking out because I freaked out. First of all I pushed him. Like, we were on the street. I gave him like a light shove. I was like, whoa. And you probably were like, oh my god, like did I do something that I shouldn't have done? I pushed him and then I was like, I literally walked around.
Side duck
Yeah, like side duck.
for like 15 minutes.
Straight back
Like,
and forth.
Not even exaggerating.
Yeah, 15
Just like,
minutes.
Oh, she's not even saying anything. She's like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, what's? She's like malfunctioning. Like
I like broke.
it's
No,
like the
literally.
rainbow circle. You know?
I'm like loading.
I was like, what's going on right now?
And the whole time he was like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, what's
I don't
going
know
on?
what to
Yeah. What is supposed to say to that, you know? I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, I'll drive you to your car. So he comes to my car and I was like, that wasn't a kiss. I literally said it like this. Like, that doesn't count as a kiss. that wasn't good. And then I was like, try again. I literally said like, kiss me again. You probably thought I was crazy. Wow. But I was like, kiss me again. So he kissed me, right? This time like a little less PG. Maybe like not rated R, but somewhere in between, you know? PG-13? Yeah, PG-13. It was PG-13.
Yeah, that's a rating.
So it's PG-13, like maybe it's just a little bit of tongue, like. But you guys, I kid you not, I was like, because I don't know what it was. I think it was me probably. My mouth was so dry. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience, but when two dry mouths try to kiss, like, it doesn't work. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is my worst nightmare. I literally had told, I couldn't make my mind about dating this guy because one, I couldn't imagine kissing him. And now that I kissed him, I'm like, it's such a bad kiss. I was like, oh, my life is over. And so I'm like in the car.
I'm so glad you didn't say that
Right.
out loud.
Yes, in my head, it's all in my head. I was like, okay, I dropped him off and I was like, oh, thank you for dinner. Like, but yada, yada, yada. We split, you know. I immediately call my girlfriends. I'm like, emergency. I could probably look it up. Like, I text them, I need all of you guys to get online right now. And all of them picked up and I was like, flipping out. I think I was talking like 4 times the speed of P. Josh when he's like speaking really loud. I was like, blah, 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 and they were like, oh my gosh, 어떡해, like Bobby 어떡해. I was like,
Thank you.
yeah. And so
Shout
at
out.
this point, the adrenaline left me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I freaked out like that in front of him because as a receiving end, he's probably like, this girl hates me. So I called him and I was like, hey, like I'm really sorry about like how I reacted. I actually don't know why I reacted like that. Like, I'm so embarrassed that I acted like that. And the whole time he was like, no, like, it's totally fine. That could happen. Like, he's like, it's okay. Like, I didn't think much of it. And I'm sure he was freaking out on the inside, but his voice was so calm. I was like, oh, okay, that's good. And so I think the reason why the first kiss I was reminded is because it's tied to, like, the scenarios that I talked about. Like, I put him in a freaking weird situation, but even then, like, she was so patient and like so 착해 with that. And so I was like, okay, that's
Wow, you really brought it all together at the end.
yes. There's always
full
yes.
circle.
And you guys, to end it here, now our kisses are great and it's not awkward anymore, right?
Yeah. You know, not the bro tap.
But yes.
Wow. Well, thank you, Bobby and Hiseo, so much for
You're
sharing
welcome.
so much. It was really wonderful.
We had so much fun.
I hope so.
What's going on the internet? You know that?
Sure. I didn't share anything that was false.
Okay.
I think it's more than a matter of true or false here.
Yeah.
Do you consent?
You're supposed to do that before. Not after.
It's not too late. They could cut it out.
No,
Do
we
you
can always
consent?
edit it.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I hope you guys had a wonderful time. Do you guys have any last words?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Well, what are your guys' Valentine's Day plans?
Oh.
If you have any.
Did you ask her to be your Valentine?
Oh.
Oh.
No.
We had a big fiasco last year, and so I feel like I'm numb now to anything bad that could happen. But last year, it was another event where he didn't make a reservation, but then he tried to, and it was at this food court.
Oh.
And I was like, "Are you sure you want to go here?" And he was like, "Oh."
There's like the sushi place. And I was like,
In
oh, it's
Westwood.
new. It's cool. And then she's like, I think it's in a food court
It's at the
plaza.
99 Ranch Market in
So I was
Westwood.
like, oh, shoot. You're right.
And so we ended up just going to Jan. And we had some drinks and we just, yeah. So I said, he wanted to go to Found Oyster this year. I love that place. But I told him, like, maybe we could just keep it casual and go to Jan again and make that a
Yeah, maybe
tradition.
that's your Valentine's Day thing. That's cute.
Yeah. So that's where we'll be. If you're watching, is this going out on Valentine's Day?
It'll be this week.
Oh, perfect. Well, me and Bobby will be at Jan.
Shout out, Chan.
Shout out Jan, our favorite place.
All right. Well, thank you both so much. Hope everyone else has a lovely week and Valentine's Day. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.